Morning car people, this is Eric. I'm going to be changing the spark plugs in my Honda S2000 today. Planes keep flying over, so I'm going to try to make this quick. Here's the basic tools. If I forgot something here, I'll tell it to you when I'm in the video. We've got new spark plugs. These are OEM, well not OEM plugs, but they're they're exact plugs OEM or manufacturer uses. They're NGK laser platinums. The part number is PFR7G-11S or NGK 7772. If you're not using NGK plugs, which you can use other plugs in this, but I don't recommend it, then you're going to need anti-seize. These have a special coating, so they don't need anti-seize. Do not put anti-seize on these. You risk them backing out. You're going to need a ratcheting socket drive, electrical tape, 5mm Allen wrench. Instead, I'm using this nice little ratchety screwdriver thing, but you can just use a regular Allen wrench. A 5/8 or 16mm spark plug socket with the rubber insert to hold the spark plug so it doesn't fall. A pretty long extension, so I have two. If I was more well clipped, I'd just have one extension that was longer, but I'm going to be using these two. And you want, most importantly, you want a torque wrench you can trust, because for me, I'm working on an aluminum head, and I really want to get the torque right because I don't want to strip it or I don't want to tighten enough. And that's something else I'm going to go into later, but on the S2000 particularly, there was a TSB about tightening the spark plugs tighter on the very early models. So if you're doing this, you want to make sure you get it tight enough, because there were cases of the plugs backing themselves out and then taking all the threads with it, and that means you need a new head, which is really bad. So let's get to it. We're going to start with step one. Step one is getting the spark plug cover off. It's this very attractive plate. It says Honda Doc VTEC. There's only 4 Allen screws holding it on, here, 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 and here. Once again, I'm using this. Before this video, I did take this off, and now it's a lot easier to get off. If your car has never had the plugs changed, somehow from the factory, I don't know if they Loctite these or whatever, but they're extremely tight and very difficult to get off. I had to use this same extension, but I put it in my actual socket drive setup, as I put this in a 1/4-inch socket, and then had an extension on it and took a rubber mallet and hit it, and it broke. I did that to each one, and it broke them free. You always want to use quick force when you're getting something that's stuck. You don't want to use slow torque, like lots of pressure. You risk stripping it, so quick hit with the rubber mallet was all it needed. Alright. Now have the Allen screws out, so this plate really simply just lifts off, just like that. I'm going to put this somewhere safe. Next step is to pull all of the 10mm bolts off of the coil pack covers, or coil packs. So I have yet to do this to my car, so I don't know if these are going to go quickly. And they do. I don't even need the rubber mallet. I'm just going to break each one free before I keep going. That's it. I think I can do each one of these by finger now. I'm using primitive video editing software, so I'm going to stop here and start once I get all the bolts out. Okay, for our next step, we've got all the bolts off the coil packs, so we're just going to be pulling the coil packs out. The way you want to do that is, I already cheated and did this one first, but first pull up so that each coil pack pulls off the top of the spark plug, giving you a little wiggle room, and then when you get it like this, I already did this one, you want to pinch up here on the plug and then kind of wiggle it apart and twist like you're breaking, I believe the DIY I read someone said like breaking the top of a banana peel, and that's it, and then the coil pack pulls out. So let's do that to each cylinder. Be gentle, be firm but gentle. There we go. There goes another. Okay, now that we have the coil packs out, it's time to actually replace the plug. I have forgotten to tell you a couple things, so pay close attention. First of all, on an aluminum head, any car with an aluminum head that you'll be changing the plugs on, like this one, you really want the car to be cold, like stone cold, when you're changing the plugs. Do not do it on a hot engine. If you do it on a hot engine, you risk ripping out the threads, because they're different materials when you're pulling the old plug out. And I'm not a physicist and I don't remember, but basically the expansion properties of each metal is different, and you risk pulling out the threads, which would be really bad, because you'd need a new head, or they'd have to put new threads on it, which is a huge pain. Other thing I forgot, you might want an air compressor or some a can of air dust off, because once I got all these coil packs out, I blew off each one of these, so any kind of dirt particles or whatever in there is blown up and out. Not entirely necessary. I kind of don't even think it was necessary. I don't see anything that's going to fall in there, but better be safe than sorry. What else did I forget to tell you? Oh, well, this is why we have electrical tape. This is not my idea, but it's a really good one. It's so that the socket doesn't get stuck on the plug in any way. You can't pull this, so good idea. Oh, and the last thing I forgot to mention is you will need a wire gapper to check the plug's gap. Here's our new plug. I already checked it. Every single plug I ordered was perfect for install spec, which on this car is about 1 to 1.1 millimeters, or I think that's like 40. No, I don't know. I forgot the inch conversion, but basically 1 millimeter. All of these from the factory checked out. So we're going to start by pulling the old plug out, and we're going to pull the old plug out, and then we're going to put the new plug in cylinder by cylinder, because you don't want to leave them all open, exposed to the air. So let's do it. Make sure your wrench is loosening. Put it in there, and you want to have a jerking motion. It's kind of tight. There we go. I'm gonna take my wrench off. There's cylinder number 1. And surprisingly, even though this car has almost 70,000 miles, and I know the spark plugs have never been changed, it looks very close to being within spec. So we're just going to do cylinder by cylinder. I'm going to put the old spark, or the new spark plug, back in. Something I want to show you quickly. I don't know if the camera will focus. You can see here's the old plug, and the number for sure is the same as the new plug. So for all you accuracy freaks like me, that's a little bit of nice reassurance. Once again, I stress, well, actually it would be too late now anyways if you weren't doing it, but on a cold engine, now mount your plug in your spark plug socket. You want to make sure the socket has got is really gripping the plug. You don't want it to be like something like that. That's just not a good idea. So push it in there, not super far, just like that. We're good to go. You're gonna put this down in there, and the key trick is to make sure you set it properly. Do like a half turn backwards, so it's even, and then now just hand tighten it for a while and make sure that you're not cross-threading it. You just want to use very light force to put it in. If you have to bust out a wrench in the beginning like this, you would absolutely not want to do that, because that means it's not going in right. Okay, so we got to where it says slow down or stop. This is where we're going to get the torque wrench. For this, we're using a snap-on torque wrench. I don't own this, it's my neighbor's. He's the tool god, but I wanted something I could trust when working on the aluminum head, because it's, in my opinion, delicate. The TSB I was talking about earlier said to do them to 19 pounds. Everyone I've talked to does it to 20 to just be safe, so I'm going to do 20 exactly. And then you want to lock your torque wrench, make sure it's set to tighten. And let's see. If it turns a while before it clicks, it's normal. Okay, we're there. Just pull your socket out. Thankfully it didn't stick because we got tape. I'm going to do that to each cylinder. I'm going to cut the video here. You get the point. Alright, so now we've got our plugs securely in, all tightened to 20 foot-pounds. Remember, check the gaps before you put them in, and only do it on a cold engine. They're all tightened. I did one at a time so nothing would fall in the cylinder. I just checked with a flashlight, everything looks good down there. They're all straight up and down, so no cross-threading happened, although it wouldn't really happen unless you're not careful. So just remember, prevent cross-threading, put it down in there, turn it as if you were loosening it, maybe a half turn until you'll feel like a little click from the two screws popping against each other, and you know that it's flush, and then just start tightening it gently with your hands until you feel it stop. But it should turn like at least 3 or 4 times before you feel it stop, and then you want to use the torque wrench from there on out. So it's very simple from here. We're just putting everything back. I might make a few more little clips of it, but I don't know if you really need to watch that. I'm just going to put the coil packs in, snap these on, tighten the bolt that holds the coil pack on. That is, if you want to use a torque wrench, I mean, you don't have to, but I'm going to do it because I'm anal. The torque on, I think all of this stuff is about 10 foot-pounds or like 9 foot-pounds. So, alright, that's it. Hope you guys are having a good day, and this video has helped with any, I don't know, confidence issues of doing the job. Alright.